So I received a few emails and also tags, mentions from a lot of my viewers who wanted me to take a look at the escalator from Blacksalt Audio. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do today. Let's get started. Alright, so Blacksalt Audio, they make two plugins. They make the low control and they make the escalator. And the escalator is it's a one knob plugin. Or well, two knobs, because you also have output control, but that's like the utility that you just, I think every plugin needs to have. Maybe also input as well. Like input output is such a basic utility that's just so handy to have in every plugin. Escalator takes a complex process of saturation and reduces it down to just one knob. It sounds great on drums, vocals, strings, guitars, and anything else you want to stand out in a mix. So yeah, one knob plugins are way more interesting than you might think. And here's why. Like, I like to be very advanced in my engineering and my mixing. I think it's the same as a painter that likes to have a lot of different colors of paint on its thing. Anyway, you know what I mean? And I just like to have a lot of controls and I really like to make custom things in my mixes. But if you think from a different perspective, and that is from a producing perspective or from a musician perspective, where you are in the process of creating music, so not creating a mix or a sound, but creating music. You want things to be as fluent as possible. You want things to be pam, 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 pam. You want things to be quick. You don't want to have engineering stand in the way of your creativity. So that is where those one-knob plugins really fit in. And that's really a perspective that you should keep in mind when looking at such a plugin. And that's also why I like one-knob plugins. And I actually have some kind of a one-knob analog plugin in my studio, if you think about it. And that's my plate reverb. It's a one knob. It has three knobs, but like one is to turn it on. I mean, it has to get power from somewhere. And the other two are the plus and minus, like the length, which you can compare to one knob. And I really like the fact that it's so limited in its capabilities. It's limited, but also not. And I am kind of moving away from the topic because the topic is, of course, the escalator. And add weight, size, energy, and character from a single knob. Make your track sound fatter, bigger, and thicker in seconds. After using it, this plugin will quickly become your new secret weapon. What is it in the audio industry with secret weapons? Why do we all think that it's secret weapons? And like, if it really was secret, why are they promoting it then? Like, then it's not really a secret weapon anymore. Like, secret weapon. Guys, come on. We simplified everything happening under the hood into one simple knob. Just turn it and move on. It's really that simple. Yeah, but how precise do you need to turn it? Maybe it's the lower value ranges saturate your sound while maintaining the transients. That's cool. As the value increases, the more saturation and soft clipping is applied, pinning the transients in place and focusing the overall dynamic range. So it's not really compressing, I think. It's soft clipping. Okay. The more extreme value range will start to apply a distortion to your overall signal. So the lower it is, the least effect it has on your signal, and the higher it is, the more extreme it gets. And I think maybe there are stages in there that it's like certain stages are not functioning at first and are only I don't know. I'm not a plugin developer, just a guy ranting on the internet. So yeah, anyway, let's take a look at the plugin. And yeah, this is it. This is it. This is it. It's pretty small actually, which is a good thing because it's only one knob we need to turn. There are no screws in there or something, no bullshit, so that's really good. Developed by Yum Audio, okay. I have the trial. Owner's manual. No. I think with one knob we can figure out what it is doing without a manual, right? All right, let's figure out what this thing is doing, and for that I'm using a drum track from Sandstorm by, what was his name again? The Root, I think it's The Root. Yeah, here it is. Is it already doing something? It sounds like it's already doing something at 0%. So it's some sound that you're getting for free. Anyway, let's crank it up. Let's fully crank it up first. Let's first see what that is. So it's a perfect way to change your drum take into something else. Alright, turn it down a little bit. Ah, that's a volume drop. So there should be some link here with the percentage and the output gain. What I've discovered is that programming this is not as simple as it seems, because what you want to do with A/B testing is having an equal loudness on A/B testing. So you don't necessarily want equal peak range or equal RMS range or whatever. You want to have equal loudness with A/B testing. I've seen an argument on the internet that it's not important because while you are mixing, you want to be creative and you don't want to do math and science. But here's my counter argument to that. So first of all, yes, for mixing you want to be creative. Let's get that fully clear. However, for testing, like demoing things on YouTube or showing what something does, you want to remove your own flaws. And our own flaws as humans is that we cannot compare audio with different loudness levels. It's just how we are wired up as humans. And people that are saying that they can, I don't really believe them. It's super easy to fool yourself with volume differences. And honestly, when I'm doing some serious testing, most of all for myself, for my own equipment or whatever, I always try to remove the human element from the test, so that the thing that I'm hearing is actually the plugin that I'm hearing. So that's one side of the argument, and that has nothing to do with mixing, because it's about testing and demoing. And that's something that you're, of course, not doing while mixing because you've already tested your equipment. However, in the mix, there's also a counter argument. And that is when, for instance, I would put this on the snare drum. And this increases the loudness of my signal or the loudness of the snare drum a lot. So I'm not saying level or whatever. Level is there for utility. Level is there to make sure that we're not overdriving our next stage or not overdriving our next plugin. Or even more important, that we are in the sweet spot of our analog gear, that we are at the correct level that our analog gear wants to have. That's why our level meters are there. But I'm talking about loudness right now. Back to that snare drum. We put the escalator on a snare drum, turns up in level. What I like to do is not only know what that escalator is doing on the single snare drum, on the soloed snare drum, but I also want to know what it's doing in the full mix. And that's where I like to, bypass a certain thing and compare and listen and compare. And when I would now do that without any loudness normalization, optimization, whatever you want to call it, correct A/Bing, either one of the things that I'm testing has a too loud snare drum because the escalator is on, or if I would put that in the correct level in my mix, then without the escalator, my snare drum would be lower in volume. And so I would have a different mix as well that I would be listening to. So that would be my argument on why you always want to have, well, at least the option to get equal loudness. So what I'm going to do for the rest of this video is use the Perception A/B plugin. I mean, Metaplex is just, they talk the same language as I do. Let's just keep it at that. And we're going to compare the pre and the post, but then matched at loudness levels. Because now we have the real difference. It gives some sauce. I would maybe drive it a little bit more. All right, so without matched level. So let's get the same part with the toms. So this is now our difference. I'm doing the same thing. So now it's all of a sudden, what's coming out of the speakers? Whoa! But our real difference is not that big. It's not that big. This is our real difference. All right, so let's drive it a little bit more because it's now very, very mellow, the effect. I don't know if it has stages in here with like, this is where the soft clipping starts and this is where like it's completely into destruction. What my suggestion would be for such user interfaces would be like, okay, let's just put a little thing here with a little line and just say, I don't know, SC for soft clipping. This is where the soft clipping starts or whatever. This automatically explains the user interface without having to read the manual. And I mean, if you make a one knob plugin, expect your users to be lazy. I mean, that's the whole thing with a one knob plugin. Let's pull it back a little bit, 50. Ooh, I think 50 actually is 45, 46 something. All right. It's I mean, it is adding energy, compression. If you hear this, it's not that they just have to hide the effect with a loudness difference. It's not necessary because also with loudness optimized, you still hear what it's doing and it still gives a very good picture of what it is doing. So there's no reason not to implement it. All right. One more question that I have is, what is the price by now? 82 euros. Euros. Okay, euros. So that's how many dollars is that? Oh, that's around $100. That's one of the most expensive one knobs there is then, I think. Ooh. Well, that brings things into a different perspective, actually. Then I would expect a bit more from it. Yeah, even though it's a one knob. And how far can you go with a one knob? Is this thing snake oil? Well, it doesn't have a loudness matching a being. And I think that this is something, although it's still fairly new, it's only how many years ago that we've started to implement this in audio plugins. But I still think that if you take your job as a plugin manufacturer serious, you should implement loudness normalized bypassing. You should just do it. And I know that it is not simple, but nobody said it was easy. I mean, if you want to make a plugin, and definitely for a higher price tag, it should have things like that built in. And also it should have oversampling built in, or this not using oversampling could also be a conscious decision because of the sound of it. But I don't really believe that. But yeah, $100. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money for just one flavor. And that's all that I want to say for this video, in this video. If you like my videos and want me to stay independent, you can help me a bit by buying some gear through my affiliate link. So only if you want to buy gear, of course, but the affiliate links are in the description down below. And if you buy something through that link, a little bit gets kicked back to YT Studio. Another way to support me is by donating a bit to the fan club Patreon page, which I'm going to link over here. And you can see on Patreon what you will get in return. It's all pretty clear and laid out over there. Last way to support me and to support YouTube, because of course YouTube also needs to be supported because that's my platform. You can watch more videos, and of course I will link one of my videos over here. Don't forget to subscribe, keep pushing, and bye bye.